Hi, welcome to Monday Night Chat episode 160. Last week I was in Sarawak due to to attend a wake and a funeral for my grand aunt. So we had to cancel that program. That was a bit last minute for me, but we're back this week and we're back with only two segments. We don't have a hot topic, so to speak, but we do have the first segment called Let's Listen, where we're going to talk with the co-founder of What a Waste, Mr. Alvin Tan, and then after that we're going to have a Q&A session. I've been told by my interns and officers that we try to limit our time to about 40-45 minutes, but you know lah what to do. I'm very chong hey. Sorry. Okay, sorry, my staff just told me it's not Alvin Tan, it's Alvin Chen. Yeah, Alvin is married to Angela Tan. Yeah, okay. So without further ado, let's listen with the co-founder of What a Waste. Hi, Edwin. How are you? We have to unmute Edwin first. Hang on. Yeah, okay. We can hear you now.
Hi YB, thanks for having me in your Let's Listen session.
You're welcome. You know, we've been doing this for God knows how many years. 8 years, I think. This Monday Night Chat thing
Wow,
is
wow,
evolved over
wow.
time, right? So we do try to get some people come in and talk to us. So we're very happy to have you. Edwin, just very general background. I met Alvin and the wife Angela. Was it 3 months ago? Maybe. Yaumo?
Yep,
God,
yep.
yeah, Sri Tanjung, right? I remember. Yeah, for the
Sri
first
Tanjung
time.
YB.
That's
Yeah.
right. So we had a quick chat. I've actually asked Alvin a few questions about himself. So maybe Alvin, you want to explain, what is What a Waste, and what were you doing before you started doing What a Waste? Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, YB, thanks. Yeah, it's about 3.5 months ago when we first met at Sri Tanjung. I think that was at the time where the Dan mayor was Puan Noraini was also present during a launching of the library in Sri Tanjung. So, and we happen to be there, with typical with our rescue food items, including both perishables and non-perishables. So yeah, that was how we met.
You had a
Now,
lot of vegetables, I remember.
yeah,
Right.
yeah, and they're all pesticide free, YB.
Okay, very good.
Yeah, so and it goes to and it just showcase of what really we do at What a Waste. Actually, What a Waste is a social enterprise that we gave birth. Angela gave birth to What a Waste in December 2018, with the main mission of fighting food waste. And we were birthed out of an environmental reason, YB. And the main reason why we had it What a Waste, we adopted What a Waste, because it's such a common connotation, and that everyone globally would have used that as and to express, regrets over certain thing that we did not do, but we could have done something about it. Oh, what a waste! I should have done something about it. What a
That's
waste of
right.
food! What a waste of time and all. So we deliberately adopted that and got it registered. Now, when we first started YB, I mean, the whole mission was to actually make use of existing resources. We must understand that the amount of food waste is so pertinent. It's a global issue, and nationwide, it is a serious issue. It is not to be taken lightly, lah. So, that's on one hand. On the other hand, in the urban context, we find poverty, hunger is still widely visible. It doesn't just happen in remote area. So happened that we coming from the urban side, we felt that there is actually a concept that we wanted to test it out, where we could potentially rescue food and feed it to the marginalized or less the underprivileged communities hand in hand, without the need of storing food, because these are all perishable food when we started it. So that was how What a Waste came about as a movement. And it started off basically as a movement, and we didn't really expect it to actually viral and caught up so much progress at a nationwide scale, which I'll share a little bit more. But prior to that, I am trained as an architect. I even my wife, who is actually the main culprit to What a Waste, she was the one who brainchild the whole movement. She came from an architectural background, and and we have been in this line for quite a number of years, YB. It's just that personally, in the wide context of architecture, I've been more involved in affordable housing schemes, and that was how it wasn't hard to actually find an attachment to what we do here, lah. At the end of the day, it is still improving the built environment, but in a different way, in a different medium, maybe. So yeah, many have asked me over this for the last 3 years, especially, what really, how is it that you ended up, from your professional life, and you ended up being on ground as a delivery boy, as someone who actually salvage unwanted food, or deal with trash, something that not many families would actually accept, particularly when you're being raised by a single mother, who has actually worked so hard, as a typical Chinese mother who only stress on one thing and nothing else, education, right?
Make money.
You have to come, make money, you have to go home, go and get good education, come back with A's. You come back with B's, you get beating. You come back with C, you get caning. You come back with D's, you are doomed. YB, you come back with F, you're finished. So that's the sort of environment that I grew up, and I can understand why my mother
And you
was
are a
leading to
Subang boy, Subang Jaya boy, right? Are you?
Subang, YB. I mean, before, when I was still in my mother's womb, I was already in SS14 all my life, and then
My old
we
office in
eventually
SS14. My old office was there.
yes, 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 yes. So from then on, we moved to SS18. I did my architectural studies in University of Tasmania. My final 2 years, and when I came back, I was working in SS15. Now that I have my own family, we are now staying in one Soho, just adjacent to SS19, and all my activity revolves around Subang Jaya lah. So it's all Subang Jaya for me, already.
Excellent. I mean, look, it's not about money, right? Now, I mean,
Yeah.
obviously, you guys, it's not easy to become an architect. You have to study long. I mean, as long as a lawyer, lah, if I remember, right? It's like 5, 6 years, right? Possibly, right?
Minimum 5 years, YB.
Minimum 5 years, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Lawyers also, we got to do 3 years, then we got to do our chambering, then we have to do the bar and all that. So, well, yeah, 5, 6 years or so, right? So,
So it's a lot of
um,
sacrifices, YB.
I know, but why this thing? I'm still trying to grapple with this idea that you give up a career, your wife and yourself, right, and to pursue this NGO movement. It must be something greater, like that. I'm sure you get a lot of satisfaction, right, in doing this.
Yes, yes. You see, YB, 2 years, I shared just now, we officialized ourselves in 2018, but it was actually as early as 2016. At that time, we still had our day jobs, we still had our architectural jobs. But it was Angela, that actually decided that, hey, we as part of our marriage time, as Christians, we strongly believe that we have to be deeply rooted at home. Your husband and wife relationship is important to ensure, before you can go and for long lasting marriage now. So what we do is to try out something different. We felt that, oh, marriage time could be something that we serve, which is nothing new, coming from a church background also, and we came from a church that stresses a lot of importance on in serving the community and all. So, and it was a good opportunity for us to actually test out the concept that we had in mind, whether it works or not, because the whole concept of rescuing food and passing it on to your beneficiary instantaneously, it can only be achieved if you have a strong relationship with your food beneficiaries. So to do that, we literally, what started off as a rescue of, 10 loaves of bread. Maybe sometimes on good days we have 20 loaves of bread from a bakery shop in SS19, which until today we are still inheriting their surplus unsold bread for the day. So having that, we just with few buns, we literally went door to door, and I remember the very first B40 affordable low cost flats that we actually stepped foot into was Angsana, Taman Medan Cahaya, Jati. But Angsana, I have a lot of emotional feelings with Angsana, because when we first stepped foot there, when we went door to door, in my usual rounds, I remember very vividly walking along the dark phantom corridors when oftentimes their main door was open, maybe because for ventilation and all, it's very stuffy inside,
Yep.
micro units.
Yep.
I see very clearly the image imprinted in my mind was a family of seven, family of seven, meaning to say husband and wife and five kids lah, young kids sitting down on the floor sharing a big platter of white rice with little to no dishes lah. I mean,
Yep.
this is in Subang Jaya, YB, and a very well matured township where people are thinking that, oh, Subang, you're from Subang, you're very rich. It's an affluent township and all, which I definitely would beg to differ lah. So yeah, it's a first hand, exposure to such scene. And happening on the same week, I also had the opportunity to visit landfills. At that time was because of construction management and all. But what really caught me by very, very much surprise was the piles, the mountains of waste.
Yep.
The mountains of waste, you go there, it's not just plastic, it's not just construction waste, right? You see a lot of edible food there. You see, you see vegetables. Of course, what I see are poorly managed piles, stacks and stacks of waste now, and they're all mixed all together, right? Being left out there openly, and obviously, commonsensically, if it is food, it's being left there, God knows for how long, it starts to decompose, and that is where you get serious trouble when greenhouse gases starts emitting, and it has a direct implication on climate change now. So these were areas that were playing around in our mind at that time, and we felt that look, perhaps with a little bit of knowledge and skills from our background, we could potentially start on something that would eventually go on to rally for participation of the public, number one, and also number two, to inspire not just individual households, but to also inspire hoteliers, to also inspire restaurant owners to actually jump into into our bandwagon, even policymakers, to jump into our bandwagon to actually, do our bit to ensure that food waste could be curbed through a prevention than cure method, which is what we have been doing since day one until today on a daily basis, YB. Yeah.
Okay, okay, this is great because we have a perception out there that What a Waste is really like an NGO that distributes food, right? But you raised the issue about the landfill and and the social issue of visiting all these low cost places, right? So is there a bigger goal to this? What is the real purpose of What a Waste? Yeah, can you just
Yeah, YB,
elaborate a bit?
actually, yeah, I suppose maybe because of all our intensified activities during the MCO, we have been misunderstood as an NGO. But actually,
Okay,
we do not, we are not a charity organization. Right? We in fact we don't even sustain ourselves through any public monetary donation, or no, we did not. We deliberately set ourselves up as a social enterprise and purely for environmental reasons. Why? Because you see, YB, during pre-MCO days, during pre-MCO, it was our prime time because we deliberately ventured into an area where no organizations wanted to deal with, even even certain agencies. Yeah, weddings, to directly deal with ready-to-eat meals, perishable food. I don't think any organization in the right set of mind would want to expose themselves to such high level of risk, particularly when you are collecting, you are dealing with ready to eat meals where, occasionally you do read news about people, not feeling well, or worst case, dying of food contamination and all. It's very high risk for us. So, but we know that there are ways to go about. If we were to understand, the rate of deterioration of food when it starts to go stale, or how it works, the pattern of how it works, then you prescribe, which was what we did. SOPs, very strict and stringent SOPs that would eventually allow our food warriors to learn, to understand, and how to manage it. And we almost immediately go and distribute it. So you can imagine, maybe, how a typical scenario before MCO works is that we actually built the brand identity in wedding scenes and eventually made its way to the corporate events and all. And that was the only area that we started. And because we are social enterprise, we needed to learn how to sustain ourselves. Yes, there's so much we can pledge our allegiance towards the environmental reasons and all, but We are not being funded. We don't have grants. We got nothing. We are not tycoons. We don't have any extra money. We needed to find a way to sustain ourselves. So we very naturally, through probably more than 100 or 200 weddings that we have performed, from wedding rescue food rescue missions that we have performed from weddings, we eventually found our tempo on how to actually price ourselves. So we had it as a professional food rescue services. It's, the first question lurking in everyone's mind is what is a food rescue service, and we have
Then
been.
what is your business model? Since you're a social enterprise, right? How do you make money?
Yes. So
Tell
we
us that.
couples actually pay us, YB. So you can imagine wedding. We collaborate with wedding planners, and we actually carve out green wedding packages.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Malaysian. Yes, yes, and people are always in pursuit of a unique wedding experience and all. Your peers went to Taj Mahal to have their wedding photo taken. I want to go to Mount Everest to have mine taken. But really, the most beautiful experience that you can have on the biggest day of your life is to actually share your food out, beyond what you would have expected. And that was just the poetic side of meaning that we actually gave to weddings. And that was how we naturally gave birth to saying I do to the environment. So it was actually part of a What a Waste package under What a Wedding, still under the WAW tagline, where we actually carved out green wedding packages, and couples have the option of engaging us to have their food rescued, and they know for a fact that for us to go and rescue their food, it will immediately go to deserving communities or families and all. So we went on and on, YB, and every
Okay,
weekend
okay.
for the
Let
last.
me understand this, Alvin. Okay, let's say say a wedding, a typical Malaysian wedding, they say 300 guests lah, right?
Yes.
So they say 250 turn out. So you got 50 people didn't eat the food. So you take that 50, is it? And then you pass
Okay.
it to people or what?
Okay.
And
Yep.
who
I
pays
mean,
for that 50?
generally that would be a good understanding lah. But a little bit of in that is okay. Say we have done way more than we have done a lot of weddings to be able to advise anyone that a typical 300 pax wedding, YB would generate easily between 70 to 75 kg of extra food, surplus food. These are
Wow.
untouched now, YB. These are not the food now where you eat ready, guests eat ready, cannot finish. No, we don't touch that, right? These are food that was commissioned, that the clients commissioned a food caterer to prepare extra and all, but guests didn't turn out, or people are consuming lesser and it became extra, and that is the area that we were dealing directly with lah.
I see.
So that is our definition of a food rescue mission. So a typical scenario, YB, is number one. What I meant by a food rescue specialist simply means is that we actually document every single food that we rescue. It is important that we document this data, because going beyond just feeding the poor, or rescuing food, or preventing it from going to the landfills, we want to be able to advise whether the wedding planners, or whether certain key government agencies, or whether anyone across the board, that look, what it simply means is that from this amount, from this food weight, you are directly preventing X amount of greenhouse gases from the landfills. We all know carbon dioxide, they are culprit to trapping heat in our atmosphere. But more potently, methane gas
That is
is
from food,
for food.
natural,
So that was the
biodegrading.
area that, and the severity of this issue really warrants us to, and it propels us to wanting to do it even more lah. So weddings and corporate has always been our hunting ground lah, YB.
No, because it's in big volume lah. Then your job is also much well organized lah in that sense, right? Okay,
Yes, yes.
this is really interesting. I mean, I think you're one of the most animated guests we ever had in this thing. What I'm gonna do now is we're gonna ask you some standard question, but to do that, I'm gonna bring in my officers. Yeah, in particular Dashini. Dashini, you wanna join us? Yeah.
Hi,
Is
boss.
Bala gonna join us for this session? By the way, Dashini.
I think he can. He's
Bring them in.
here. Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
Bring Bala in. Okay.
Okay,
And
yeah.
let's do okay. Now we'll bring the interns in at one
For
point
Q&A.
now. For Q&A, right? Okay.
Mhm.
So Dashini and Bala, please ask questions to Alvin. Yeah. Who wants to start? Dashini first lah. Ladies first.
Yeah, I think I'll go first, Alvin. I'm very curious to know because I think now, at least recently, if I understand correctly, you've launched an app as well, right? WAW app. So I think previously you've been dealing more with hotels and restaurants and things like that. So now you're allowing, I think, the public itself to contribute. So what has the what have you noticed? What is like the behavior of Malaysians when it comes to food wastage? Do you think there's a lot of people who have food wastage now? Like consumer or domestic food wastage?
Thank you, Darshini. I outrightly and very straightforwardly, I think we have a serious issue in our. There seems to be a lack of respect towards food, as far as the Malaysian context is concerned. I think there needs to be more responsibility in the way we consume food. There needs to be more accountability in the way we purchase food. Right, buy what we need, not buy what is. Don't just buy because it's a good deal and all. And we need to be more responsible in the way we handle food and all, because I keep saying, that we have to understand in a Malaysian context. I mean, we are known as a food haven, right? We are blessed. We are multi-ethnic with the diverse. We have all sorts of food, all sorts of fusion, and also access to food is there, and it's available 24/7, and it's affordable, right? So these conditions actually breeds a lot of it actually contributes to food wastage, because when you have so much easy access towards food and all, I'm not asking you to not eat that much or whatever, but what I'm strongly suggesting is that whatever you can eat, whatever you order, as long as you finish it, you clean your plate, we are all happy. Even in the context of buffet, I think it needs no further
Yeah.
explanation in the whole buffet scene. There's always second round, third round, fourth round, and all. You don't have to go and tackle the whole mountain of, you don't have to fill your plate at first round and all, and and get yourself so filled and
Yeah, Alvin,
consumed.
and I tell you, Alvin, during this Hari Raya period, right? All this buka, this
Yeah.
makan. I don't know
It's
lah,
a
but
lot of food. It's so much of food.
Yes, yes. Well, in fact, during festive season, not just Raya, whether it's Chinese New Year, Hari Raya, particularly during festive season, we will easily see a 30% increase in the amount of food waste, lah. And that's very sad, lah. That's very sad, lah. And even during the bazaar, during Possum month, especially or Ramadan, bazaar Ramadan, same thing, same scenario. But in the context of bazaar, we are beginning to see better efforts, that has been done. At least something is being done, in one way or other to actually curb this issue. Although I personally feel that there's so much more effective ways to actually deal with it, lah. But yeah, I mean, that's the problem, in Malaysia, that we got to be more responsible in our consumption, in our attitude towards food.
absolutely. And in these last 3 months, once the Ukraine war started, we're facing a lot of food shortages, and there's a big drought in India as we speak, right? So there's a supply of wheat is a big problem. Cooking oil is a big problem as well. I'm going to ask Bala now. Bala, can you ask a question to Alvin?
Yeah, I've got a question. So, in your many years of doing water waste, so for now, until now, do you see any change in the behavior of Malaysians in how they manage the food? Like, do they start ordering less food to ensure that I ordered the food for 30 people to feed 30 people, or we still do the buy for 50 packs for 30 people kind of thing?
Well, humbly I'll share this, lah. I'm just happy that I can only speak and I can only answer based on what I personally encountered and experienced and all. So generally for Malaysians, how they are actually, is there a pattern of change? I really can't answer that, but I can very proudly and humbly share that stakeholders, companies, F&B related, our food beneficiaries, our food partners, the hundreds of food restaurants, people who have crossed path or currently are part of the whole larger water waste system. I'm just so happy to share that we have seen tremendous amount of change in their attitude. Even companies that has been in existence for decades, and these are MNCs, yeah, people, companies that will always take the line of least resistance. I mean, the conventional way of being near expiry food, they have to be removed from commercial shelves and all. Now that's also the reason why we were able, what started off from wedding, inheriting food from wedding quickly became, us inheriting no longer hundreds of kg, but tons of vegetables from farmers. Even the
Oh,
farmers
wow.
are more well informed of what really the water waste movement is all about, up to MNCs now who are, large producers, exporters of various food items and all. We are just happy that they have us as their food beneficiary. They actually contact us, engage us to actually manage their food items, and that was how we were able to actually inherit or rescue a wide variety of food items till to date now. Yeah.
Well, it's actually pretty encouraging to hear that there are some change in attitude towards how they want to at least reduce waste in the corporate sector as well. That's really encouraging to hear. Dashni, anything from you?
I do actually. On that note of changing behaviors, I understand that WAW works very closely with university students, especially the universities in Malaysia, in Subang. Sorry. So, curious to know. I understand that they assist you in your food rescue programs, but have you seen after their involvement in your food programs, or after you've spoken to them, do you think that their perception of food wastage and their behavior changes as well?
Yes. Okay. We have for the past say for 2.5 years now, we have successfully collaborated with Monash University. We have students from Sunway University, Sunway student volunteers, Open Wawasan Uni, Taylor's Inti. Now, and I want to credit each and every one of them, particularly their students and all. They were involved with us, not just in the context of packing food. Some of them had the opportunity to engage with us in the whole context of cooking, because which I'll share a little bit later. We actually have our cooking team. Uh, um, what is truly encouraging for me, which works to our advantage for sure, is that many of our volunteers, yeah, are actually students whom we have mentored before, students who has actually crossed path with us before. And I don't expect, I mean, Rome isn't built in a day, right? I mean, I don't expect, a certain individual to have their attitude change overnight or with just one session with us. But if you give me an opportunity, if you give me a chance to actually journey together with you in our way, definitely we have seen way too many successful and people and students. We have dedicated student groups who actually represent us to spread the word. And we also have students who go around Subang Jaya in the name of what a ways to actually recruit food merchants, food partners. And when I say that, I mean speaking or spreading the word to, SS15 area, Taipan area, where they have so many F&B outlets, but
Yeah.
they are still binning their unsold food of the day. So with students' involvement, for them to actually share this piece of, movement to them, and through the students, be very honest with you, we have successfully recruited or partnered quite a fair bit of reputable brand names. And yes, this is a clear result of how the movement has actually changed the mindset of this younger generation.
That's great. I'm just thinking about what SS15 and Taipan would look like if there wasn't as much food wastage everywhere and all these
Free
strong.
burgers, free
Yeah, oh
burgers,
my
and tea,
yeah.
bubble tea.
If all that
Okay,
food
Bala,
was
you wanna
free
ask the
then
last question?
I was thinking more about like how I grew up in a household where if you're inviting, I gave an example just now. If you're inviting 10 guests, you order food for 15 people, because you
Normal.
never want to be seen as a host that does not provide enough. So this is a very good initiative actually, because I I now know that for a family that orders a lot of food, I can give it to a different to water waste, for example. However, this is a question from a fellow colleague. Serene actually asked this question. Uh, this could be a little confrontational,
Where is
but I'm
Serene,
going to
by the
ask
way?
it anyway.
Please do.
Sorry,
Come, come.
having some connection problems.
Oh, connection
Okay,
problem. Okay.
yeah. So she has asked whether do you preach? Sorry, do you practice what you preach at home? How
Yes.
do you practice that in your at your home?
Hey, you look at Alvin, he's so slim. Obviously, he's practicing.
Okay, let me share with you exactly what actually took place since MCO until recently. Yeah. You see, the amount of every day during MCO, when we had tons and tons of mixed vegetables or even food packs making its way to us. When I say vegetables, you have to break away from the mindset these are perfect looking ones, spotless and all. No, these are aging vegetables, right? These are not spoiled. These are not rotten. It's just not pretty. It's just not good looking. Yeah, and they are oftentimes abandoned in the hypermarkets. No one wants to purchase and all. So when all this made its way to us, even until today, we are still handling it in this way. A certain portion would be distributed outrightly to our regular beneficiaries, whether they are throughout Subang Jaya communities. It also would make its way to Lembah Pantai, Sunway, so on and so forth. Yeah. Now, apart from that, another portion would actually be distributed out to our partner cooks. Yeah, because we are actually using how we have evolved from a food rescue specialist is that we use all these surplus items as free ingredients and we pass it on to our single mothers or fathers or anyone from the B40 communities, but predominantly in Subang Jaya, we who can cook, who has a lot of kids. So we use that and they to provide them a platform to earn an income. So whatever that they cook is in fact the food that we ourselves are consuming. Yeah, you'll be surprised that it's been a while since my family. I cannot remember. It's been a while. Only recently, when the when MCO has been lifted, only we started doing our grocery shopping again. But throughout the whole MCO, there wasn't a need to do a grocery shopping. We were literally, eating aging vegetables. We were, whatever that we served was in fact the food, the same food that we were consuming. And I think it's important, as you rightly mentioned, it is very important to walk the talk and all. You see, another example is this. In all our food, in our feeding missions, you see, in the context of what the ways that you will always hear of food rescue missions, there's also community feeding missions. The context of feeding mission is that whatever rescue food, we commission the single mothers to cook, they earn an income, we take the food that they cook, we serve back the B40 communities.
Wow.
And those who have, single mothers who have graduated, we empower them to represent us to go and serve back their local community. So that is how you have a multiplying effect, elements of empowerment, elements of equality and all. So when these things keeps going on, it also naturally gave birth to our concurrent mission. I think not many people know, but we actually rescue single-use plastic. We actually started another movement to rescue tapao containers, especially in the whole area during MCO. The usage of single-use plastic skyrocketed. So we actually plunged in collection points at Shell stations, at zero waste shops. We are participating hotels who actually allow their venue as collection points. And almost when we hit peak on weekly basis, we were rescuing about 4,000-5,000 pieces of food containers from the various locations. So it's not just food because we had used. So we gave another reused life to this single-use plastic, only halal containers that we receive. We get it clean again and we reuse it for our food packing. It doesn't just stop there. We serve the food to the community as an incentive to educate our B40 communities. We would encourage them to actually return it back to us. And we have seen successful, very encouraging, high percentage, not 100%, of course, no way you will get 100%, but we have seen a high level of return rate from my Court 2 communities, from Sri Tanjung communities, from Angsana communities and all. I think it's the sort of things that, it's driving us to be intensifying not just our food rescue missions, but also our container rescue missions. Yeah.
Wow, we need
So
another
impressive.
hour of this. Hey,
I know.
no, no, I mean, this is really good. But unfortunately, we do have to move on to the second part of the program.
Right. Right.
What I want to do is we do need to meet up, lah, because we have currently a budget to empower single mothers and single
Mm.
parents also. So if you have cooks there and you know that they're struggling in terms of financial, we actually have a budget of some sort that is mandated by the government, the federal government, which we've been trying to convert to give general charitable welfare support. But they insist that we use this money to buy oven, sewing machine, that kind of thing, and we're
Right.
struggling
Right.
to find recipients. So you have to come to my office, sit down with Bala and Dashini and Serene, and then
Sure,
if you
YB.
can share your data, it'll be
Yep.
fantastic. You help me, I help you out, because we need to spend all this money out. Okay.
Yep. Yep. YB.
Yeah, brother, look, we have to end this interview, but we will meet
Sure.
again physically and have a longer chat. Bring your wife along, and then let's see where we can cooperate. But I just want to say this: thank you so much, Alvin, for doing this. Um, what I see is pure passion, yeah, and you really know your thing. So I talk to a lot of NGOs out there. They are superficial, some of them, unfortunately, right? But you are different, yeah. So keep up the good work, and and for those who are upset with politics, upset with politicians, do what Alvin does. That will be good. At least can still contribute to society.
Make a
Yeah.
real change.
Okay. So Alvin, thank you so much. I look forward
Thank
to
you.
catching up
Thank
with
you.
you. Okay. Thank you.
Sure. Yep.
Okay. Let's hit the button now for Q&A. Yeah, and bring in the interns. Okay, Q&A session. Now, before we do that, remember we supposed to get Ainin to say hello, and we tried that, but her line was very bad, right? Is Ainin in
Yeah.
the office today? She is.
Yes,
Yes,
she
she
is.
is. I'll
Okay,
bring her
so
up now.
where is she now? Angel is around also, right? Ah, Ainin is here. Okay. Angel is at home or in the office also?
She's both in
I'm
the
at
office.
home.
That's why it's okay. Okay, Ainin, if don't yeah, we have to put you on the spot, unfortunately. You want to introduce yourself to
Okay.
the to the people watching this? Okay.
Yeah. All right. Hi, hello. My name is Ainin, and I'm currently doing my second year of psychology degree in Help University. Since psychology degree can branch to a lot of different multiple career path. My main passion is actually policy making and social work. So my field of interest in this is actually human rights and education. Human rights, as in like mainly women and minority rights stuff. So yeah, I'm actually very glad to hop on this internship program because so far I find it really fun to learn about economics and social work with YB and fellow officers. Yes. Hello.
Okay. Thank you. Nice and sweet. But Ainin, we're gonna ask you where do you live? Where are you from? Are you a Subang person or where are you from?
No, actually, I'm from Bukit Jelutong, Shalam, so not really a small person, but yeah, I've lived there about 20 years now.
Okay.
So yeah, I know the area quite well.
Okay, good. No, we accept anybody from the client. In fact, we used to have like a farmer from Sabah who
Oh,
was
wow.
doing some farming activity in Johor, but he was also interning with us. Yeah, so he would come and intern 2 days and then rush to his farm for the rest 5 days. So no. This is an open office. So welcome to the office. Now, where is Angel? Is a connection okay? Or not?
She has just informed me that she thinks her webcam is broken, so I don't think she'll be joining us
We
for a
we don't
while.
pay her. We don't pay her enough, lah, unfortunately.
For
Okay.
another webcam.
Okay. Never mind. Let's move to the Q&A session. Do you have any questions out there from the public?
We actually do have one, boss. It's
Okay.
from Mr. Thomas Yeo.
Okay.
Just put it up here. So he asks, are face masks required the mandatory serum approval?
That is a good question, which I don't have an answer to. But generally, most things that you sell do require some sort of serum approval, lah. Yeah, whether they actually put the stamp on it, I'm not sure. But I have seen some mask that has a stamp on it. But if you're like a big brand like Medicos and that kind of thing, obviously they have serum approval. Yeah, those from China that they order in bulk and all those, maybe they don't have it because they're most likely just being flooded into the market. Yeah, I'm not sure why you're asking this, but generally you have to wear the higher grade one. Yeah,
I
no,
believe
no
the
longer.
Ministry of Health was actually considering regulating on this a while back, and regulating the sellers of, specifically the sellers of face masks, that they were required to have a serum approval for their masks. But I don't think that it has been legislated on, or any policy has been made so far.
Yeah, so if it's manufactured in Malaysia, you can more or less be assured that they have, right? But in the pandemic crisis, of course, the government relaxed its rules so that you can get good supply of face masks at lower prices. Okay. Now, I hope that answered your question, Thomas. But do you have any more questions? Otherwise, we have to ask you guys to ask questions.
We actually don't have any more questions. It's all just supportive comments for WAW. So I think Eileen has questions, so maybe Eileen can go with hers.
Okay, Ainin, you got any question to ask today?
Yeah, it's however it's not really that related to WEW's
No, no, you can. Is this open session? You can ask anything. You can ask about
all right.
Tajuddin also in Indonesia, that kind of thing.
Oh,
Anything you want. Okay.
all right. All right, great. However, it's not about Tajuddin, unfortunately. Sorry, boss. It's
Okay.
more it's just a curiosity that kind of sparked just now when it was we were working, just about the shortage of chicken and potatoes and how has it led to the food inflation that we are facing currently globally. And I understand that recently, I think there's just a news about the government wanting to ban a certain amount of chickens from being sold to other places, if I'm not mistaken. And the Prime Minister also wants to terminate the APs of chicken. Yeah. So
Okay.
I'm just wondering how that leads to inflation that we're facing right now.
Okay. Let me just explain to you that Malaysia is a big exporter of eggs and chicken. Yeah, because we do export to Singapore. We generally produce more than we can consume. So the question is, why is there a glut, or where is there a shortage of not glut, I think glut is the other way. Where is there a shortage of chicken in Malaysia at the moment? It's partly seasonal because of Hari Raya, right? But it's also because chicken feed, chicken eat stuff, and most of this stuff are organic stuff, so it's related to vegetables, it's related to some sort of protein mix, right? And with the Ukraine war, what you have is you got fertilizer cost gone up, you got food prices gone up, whether it's grains or whether it's cooking oil or whatever, all these have gone up, and they've contributed to a supply chain issue. So ultimately, the bird feed, the animal feed, the chicken feed becomes more expensive. And when the government imposes a ceiling price, even though the cost materials have gone up, then the producers themselves are thinking they're going to make losses. Yeah, so this is where government interference can help to make sure that prices are low. But if they don't get the right amount correctly, what will happen is then the producers themselves will say, "Look, I'm not here to run losses. I'm going to produce less chicken." Yeah, because they have to buy all this food feed that comes in. So you have to be careful when you intervene in the free market, lah, so to speak, right? Where you have hoarding of chicken, that you're going to stop. Yeah, but where it is driven by market reasons why they're not producing more chickens, then you have to try to understand how can you help these producers to produce more chicken. So not so easy. Okay, so we need data. The best way to do this, and we've looked at this, I looked at this long time ago when we went to Taiwan to have a look at their model. The most important thing is you need to calculate how many tons of chicken feed comes in, how many baby chickens that they buy, that they breed, right? And then how many ultimately get sold in the process. So maybe you start off with the intention of trying to breed 1 million chicken. You expect 10% to perish for whatever reason. So your output should be 900,000, right? If you have those kind of data, you can then start to understand, as a government, you need this data. Then you can say, okay, is there hoarding, right? If they started with 1 million chicken, but they're only selling 500,000, that means they're hoarding chicken, you know? So until we have those kind of data, until government push it up, we can't really say lah. I mean, we can propose lah, like cutting AP, that kind of thing, but you'll be guessing lah most of the time. That's why for most MPs, or at least for policymakers, we must have data-driven policy making. Okay, I hope you understand. Now, AP wise is very simple. Food AP is designed primarily to help protect the local producers who are farmers, who produces chicken, right? But in Malaysia, our AP somehow goes to help the AP holder. Yeah, it's a, this is the problem in the country. Canceling the AP may hurt the local producers because it's a form of protectionism. But the AP money should go back to the government itself. Then the government can use it to subsidize the producers. But in Malaysia, that AP money is given to cronies. So that's why AP has such a bad name, and asking for AP to be abolished is a standard thing. But it's not so much the function of the AP, but is who gets the AP money. If it goes back to the government, that's fine, because the government can subsidize the farmers directly. Now it goes towards cronies, and that has to stop. Okay. Do you have more questions? Did Angel try to log in or something?
She did, and then she dropped off again. But I have a
Okay.
question actually, boss. Then
Yeah,
maybe we
please.
can go back to Ainin. I don't think you've actually talked about this before, boss, but the whole server dynamic, the debacle that happened with server dynamic. I'm curious to know your thoughts and what could be the potential ramifications of that on our economy, on our I don't know what could potentially happen as a result of what happened with server dynamic.
Okay, so Server Dynamic is a company. Apparently, they are dynamic in all sectors. That's the name of Server Dynamic. There are allegations of fraud, yeah, allegations of all sort of things. Server Dynamic has sued their auditors. They've also sued Securities Commission. Um, so what happened is Server Dynamic is taking an offensive position towards these allegations. Okay, they're willing to sue anybody out there. So you have to let the court case continue, but there are very blatant, very obvious things that is wrong. And then when the government or the attorney general decided to just fine them instead of pursuing a criminal prosecution, yeah, just to give a compound, that causes a disbelief in the market, and the market loses confidence in the ability of our regulators like Securities Commission to do their job properly, yeah, or the Attorney General to do the job. As a result, the Malaysian Stock Exchange has been lagging, yeah. So the belief is very simple. These investors out there, whether they're foreigners or domestic, they think, if one of these listed companies behave badly or alleged to behave badly, they expect hard action from the authorities, and when that doesn't come, they're going to think the worst about the market, and therefore they will dump the market or sell their shares or exit. And we estimate somewhere between 10 to 20 billion was wiped out in the stock market, right, in terms of value. So that's the Super Dynamic saga. You can see, while some economic indicators in the first quarter this year seems to show that we're on a rebound, because they haven't taken in the full fact of the Ukraine war yet. Yeah, we have to wait for the second quarter to see what are those economic numbers. But overall, it looks positive. But the Malaysian stock market, you can see now, is not going far. So people call it the server dynamic problem. Okay. Beyond that, I don't get sued by server dynamic or anybody out there. Yeah, to me,
Understood.
we understand what is going on, and it's a process. So let the Securities Commission orders to push the matter. But don't think for a moment that the Attorney General, in his decision, can be, and he gave some excuse. I don't think that's going to be something that we look upon favorably. We expect a lot more from this current government. Okay, and investors too, in particular. Angel is back. Angel, you have a
Yeah.
question for me?
Yes, I do. So like today, there are two Malaysian-born individuals that have been elected as MPs in Australia. So with that, I did some research, and it shows that approximately 1 million Malaysian immigrants that are now all around the world, mostly to pursue for better education. So, don't you think that it is an issue that we should be concerned about? And if yes, are there any educational reforms intended to made to be made to keep intellectuals in Malaysia?
Okay, now this is a perennial question. Look, as a policymaker, I can make a position, right, that we
Mm.
need to retain people here is good for the country. As a parent, I'm no different from all of, well, you guys are not parents, but no different from other parents. We want the best for our kids, right? What really should happen is, why do Malaysian diaspora, why is it 1.2 million, 1 million people, Malaysian professionals who have left the country and don't come back? To me, it may be political as some percentage, but the vast majority do it because the pay is not so good here. Yeah. Or they can't get a job here. See, they're trained as some very high end, data scientists. Okay. And then they realize there's only like, uh, 500 jobs for data scientists, but we produce 2,000 of them. Obviously, the other 1,005 need to leave the country and find another job. And those that stay here as a data scientist are being paid one third of what Europe is paying. So those are economic factors that will then drive away the Malaysian, intellectual or Malaysian highly trained professionals. Yeah. So you have to fix that. And to fix that, you need a government that is clean. You need a government that is based on data, that has good control of data, and then that they invest carefully in the education to produce jobs. I mean, the three of you, yeah, Dashini has her first job, but Ainin and Angel in particular, right? You guys are going to study or studying something, right? The aim of education is that after you finish your university, you get a job that pays you well. I mean, that's the bottom line. Sure, you got aspiration to do things. Sure, you hope that you become a CEO or you become a senior auditor, whatever it is, right? But generally, from the government point of view or policymaker point of view, we are investing in you so that you become a taxpayer and then you pay back to the government whatever the government provided free for you, free education in primary school, secondary school, that kind of thing, or PTPN loan, right? So in order to do that, the government needs to restructure a proper policy system for what jobs to be created based on data and demand. Then they got to work with the private sector to make sure that the private sector goes into the sectors that we're good at. And for us to do that, I mean, I'm going very general, because we can't spend half an hour talking about this. But very general is the government need to understand what is comparative advantages in terms of economics for the country. Yeah. What is it that we have? And what is it that we need to drive? Then use that data, fix the education system to produce the type of people that will work in Malaysia and can get higher pay in Malaysia. You fail to do this, you produce 10,000 lawyers when you actually need, 3,000 replacement lawyer a year, you expect 7,000 to leave. That's it. We're not doing the right thing. So to answer your question, Angel, I know you worry. This is a big anxiety for all Malaysians, right? But the government has to do a lot better. Yeah. It doesn't matter like which government, but all future government needs to put aside their quarrels, their political posturing, and think about this carefully, because otherwise this country will continue to hemorrhage workers, professional workers, and therefore put ourselves into very difficult fiscal, income tax, corporate tax situation where our collection come diminish smaller and smaller. Okay. Next question. Anybody? Dashini, Bala?
I guess I'll go next, boss.
Okay, Ken, I need.
Okay. Just a random question. Since the pandemic, right? What we've seen a lot of workers had the work from home option, and companies can allow that to their workers, regardless of their position or anything. People are supposed to work from home anyway. And then now that there's the reopening of the economy, companies are calling back their workers to go to the office. And some people are kind of arguing that why can't companies just let workers work from home, because that's an option. You save a lot of resources, you save money, you save petrol, you save energy, time, and electricity. Why can't companies adhere to that policy now? Because some workers are also asking for it. Like, how does it affect the company if workers come back to the office? Or no, what are your thoughts on that
Okay,
specific
well,
issue?
that to answer that depends on the corporate culture that the company takes. Yeah, unfortunately, in Asian countries, most Asian countries, they have a corporate culture where they expect you to clock in, clock out, be there. The boss can see you there all the time, right? In Europe, they are reopening, and you can see that some of them have allowed their workers to stay back. You know, so it depends on the corporate culture that we have. What is most important is we cannot intervene in this matter directly or indirectly, right? But if we believe that people working from home creates happier citizens, that it will cut down carbon emissions, because you don't have to travel for 1 hour to work, 1 hour back, right? Then the government can incentivize companies to that want to adopt this culture to allow their workers to work from home. Yeah, so the government need to sit down again and calculate what are the cost benefit issue. Environment definitely benefits a lot lah, and general happiness of the people. Because if you're working from home, you have more time with your family, and the companies need to be convinced that this productivity is better or at least equal from working in the office. Yeah. And if the government thinks that's a good thing, mental health is a good thing, reducing transport, saving the environment is a good thing, then the government has to fork out some money to achieve this kind of targets. Yeah. Okay. And we come with the best intention to stop at 45 minutes. We already crossed. We're close to 1 hour now, so we must
Yep.
not do the 1 hour. Okay. Last question. Yeah, maybe Bala or Dashini. If not, we pass it back to Angel. Yeah.
I think Angel has another question, so maybe
Okay.
I'll
Let's
pass it
let's
to her.
take Angel. Okay, Angel, you have a question?
Yes, I do have a question. It's regarding the borders have been opening up recently, and after 2 years of not being able to travel, so most of our people's passport need to be renewed all over again. So the number of passport renewals have increased tremendously, and the immigration department is also working on long hours to cater to them. So what is your say regarding this issue? Or like, should they go back to the online renewal process, or should we continue to allow such long working hours for the immigration department and people lining up for hours waiting for their passport to get renewed?
Well, I think this is going to be a 3 months problem. Yeah. You can't change the policy for a 3 months problem, because after these 3 months, things should normalize, right? Yeah. So I wouldn't change so much other than making sure that the immigration officers that work are paid their overtime due. Okay. That's important. I wouldn't change the process. You may want to tinker a little bit, but I'm in no position to say how do you do it. The immigration officers themselves probably know how to do it. I personally renewed my passports last year, my son and mine, right? Because they expired 5 years exactly. So and we were thinking that we better be on standby lah. I waited about 5 hours or 6 hours for it. So I don't know what it is now, Angel. Probably longer than that, right? But I don't think it's going to be sustained at this level. It will normalize after a few months. Yeah. Okay. So sometimes when we look at policy, when we have a problem, we think the solution is to change something. But if that problem is only temporary, it's not worth the effort to change. But for the additional work of the civil servants, you have to pay them because that's fair. Yeah. And for the rest of the Malaysians, if you're in no rush to travel, and you have to queue a long time, maybe you can plan ahead for a travel in December and get it done in September, your renewal. Yeah. Okay. Okay. We have time for one more question? Anyone have a shot at this? Ainin? Dashini has always got a question. Bala?
I actually don't have a question today, boss. I'm just thinking about WAW, and I'm thinking about the efforts that they do, but I'm also in consideration of what's going on now with the food shortages and all that. I'm thinking how important what WAW does is in light of that.
No. That I just want to say one last thing on WWS as a closing remark. I like Alvin. I mean, this is my second time meeting him, but he talks a lot of sense, and you can see that he's genuine, that he knows what's going on. This is not some guy talking about on social media. This is a guy who does things. So from talking to him, you can see the experience is really there. And yes, food prices are globally set to increase, and the poor will suffer for a lot more than the middle class. So what Alvin is doing is good. Whether we can support him or not, I don't think he actually needs any support lah. Yeah, from the looks of things. And it's good also because it's not a charity, it's a social enterprise. So they do make money. They do have money to hire staff, that are paid professionally to do their job. So this kind of social enterprise do not require interference from MPs or ADONs or councillors and others. To us, if they need help, please come to us. We actually need their help to get their database for us to run our policies, our policies. But I will be having a longer conversation with him. And yeah, on that note, that's it. We already crossed the 1 hour mark.
Yep.
We'll try again next week. And do let us know, those who are watching, whether you want to send a message to us on what hot topic you want to talk about. Yeah.
Mhm.
And I'm not sure. Dashini is running the program. What are we having next week? Any idea?
We're not having a program next week, boss. We're doing it 2 weeks gap. So we're trying to find special guests, and we're trying to tinker around with the program, see how we can make it more interesting, shorter,
Okay.
but
Yeah.
more compact. Yep.
Yeah. That's also one last thing, very last thing. We are running our new town hall meeting. Yeah. So keep please watch our Facebook space. We will be informing people from time to time that we are going to a particular venue to meet people. We're gonna have we're aiming for 50 people to turn out, not a large one, so everybody have a chance to ask questions and participate. And we'll be doing this town hall thing as a way to re-engage people, and also the fact that it's endemic now lah. Yeah, endemic phase allows us to do this easier. Yeah, and there's a lot of anxiety in the public. I do understand. You're worried about the anti-hopping law. You're worried about economics. You're worried about the instability of government. So this town hall thing will be an opportunity for you to get direct answers from me, and we will try to stream one or two of these lah.
Yeah.
Okay, that's it. Thank you so much. Hope to see you in 2 weeks' time.